Hello and welcome to Advisor Gold, the missing allocation, the show where financial professionals learn the why, how, and what to help their clients own physical gold and silver. This podcast is designed to complement the training at goldandsilveradvisors.com. I'm your host, Kerry Morris, and I work with clients and run a financial planning practice every day. We've used physical metals in our financial plans for nearly a decade. And I'm here with my co-host and friend, Ryan Long, second generation in the gold and silver business and president of National Gold Consultants, which only promotes their business through a large advisor network. If you're a consumer listening to this podcast, welcome. This is not financial, legal, or tax advice. It's education, folks, and you're welcome to have your advisor reach out to us, or you can email us directly with your questions. In this episode, we answer the question, is there going to be a recession in 2023, and what does that mean for gold? Listen in as we discuss the banks and the breadth of the market and a couple other factors that could push us towards or away from a recession this year and how that impacts gold and silver. Now, here's my conversation with Ryan. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the podcast today. This is Kerry, and of course, Ryan's with me. Hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to answer the question, as you heard, is there going to be a recession in 2023, and what does that mean for gold? So it's a big question mark, right, Ryan? I mean, it could go either way, people feel, but we're going to hit a couple things today that we feel like are a determinant and definitely a connector to the price of gold and why we advocate for wealth insurance, why we advocate for having a 10 to 15% allocation of your nest egg in physical metals. So why don't you kick it off by digging into the banks? You've seen some interesting things, even just in your community with some of your relationships, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's all spiraling down, Kerry. I dug into some research, and what prompted me was I had a review appointment with one of my good clients. He's actually on the board and was a president of these large regional banks up here in the Midwest. He's still president on the board right now. But what prompted me to dig into the banking system is his phone call of, he wanted to review. He wanted to see where he's at positioned in gold and silver to rebalance and to make sure he's ready to weather that storm that's on the horizon. So this is the research I found, Kerry, which was crazy. We all hear about these big banks that have failed this year, PacWest. I mean, the list continues. There's three main banks that have faltered, but in the back of my mind to go, well, let's compare it to 2008. How, we all hear about the Lehman Brothers and how bad the banking crisis was in 2008. So, I mean, get this, Kerry, in 2008, there was, I think it was $373.6 billion of assets in banks that failed. So essentially defaulted.
Okay. 373.
373. That was in 08, and that covered the 12 months of 2008, right?
Got it.
So far, here we are. We're not even halfway through the year in 2023. Only three banks have failed, but their combined assets, $548.5 billion.
Wow. I thought you were going to say like 380 or 400. But it's already like 500 something.
We've already surpassed it. And when I brought up those stats to my client that came into my office here just this last week or two, he just mentioned the amount of deposits that are just fleeing, not only his banks, but all of the regional banks around. People are taking cash out in droves because they're uncertain. They're not knowing what to do with it. It's a very real and scary reality because people aren't. We had a podcast a few times ago, Kerry, of what's better, FDIC or gold? Well, people don't trust the FDIC right now because there's not enough money to go around.
Yeah, and just overall, price, it's tough. Prices are still high with inflation going, and interest rates are up, which is great for savers, but really bad for borrowers. That whole thing. Yeah. So I got something I want to bring up here about this. What else about banks comes to mind as far as how it relates to a possible recession? So if this continues, then you got bank stocks are going down. That's dragging down things. You got the trust going down and the sentiment.
Yep. A lot of it's credit, Kerry, because when these banks are seeing defaults, put yourselves on put your bank hat on. If you're seeing all of these defaults left and right, you're gonna have a tighter grip on any of your credits or your debts at this point for new lending because you're concerned about what that domino effect is going to do to you. So when we look at, is a recession going to happen in 2023? Well, the dominoes are already falling. No one knows, but recessions happen all of the time. What I will tell you though, is every time that a recession has happened has been very favorable for gold and silver. It's just a fact of the matter.
Yeah, so that's the second part of the question, right? Will it be good for gold? And it almost seems like even if it doesn't technically move into recession land, that the sentiment alone, because what we deal with is so driven by consumer sentiment when it comes to, the supply and demand of gold and silver and that whole demand side. It seems like either way, it's not like our metals are going to drop or anything, but they're there to give that counterbalance. If that recession does hit, then historically we've always seen them do very well to counterbalance that, right?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah. So the thing I wanted to bring up was what's called the breadth of the market, right? So one guy jokes, and there's this joke that says, well, the market has bad breath. Well, what does that mean? That's the percentage of stocks in the S&P that are actually hitting new highs. So everybody's kind of feeling a little bit of comfort from seeing the indexes rise some this year, a little up and down, but I'm seeing some progress in those indexes. But I'm going to throw up a visual here for those of you watching this on YouTube, and I'll just describe it if you're listening to this. But I'm looking at a chart here from 28 April of this year from the Daily Shot, and a fellow named Lance Roberts posted it. And so what it shows is that the high in the highest number on the chart for the percentage that outperformed the index is up around 67% here. And that was really on the rebound of coming out of the tech boom and coming out of the downfall in 2000. And so, but what's interesting is the lowest number though is right at 1998, 1999, and it's 28 or 30 companies out of 500 well, you don't find that happen again going into the future until this year in April. Year to date, that number's at 32. So 32 companies, that's all that's hitting new highs in the S&P according to this chart. So what that means is that you've got a whole lot of people counting on very few companies to lead all these accounts out of where they're at and continue to recover from the last year or so, right? And to me, that's a scary thing. And obviously we know what most of those companies are. They're tech companies, right? Yeah. So if you look deeper into this, which we're not going to on this podcast, you'll see there's a lot of companies that are losing ground. They're still going down. The stock prices are going down. And so, back to connecting the bank to it, Ryan, I mean, think about commercial credit and how that's affected and how, that's the whole thing that undermined, what happened in 08 is it's all goes back to credit. So credit is an important thing in this country for businesses and companies to continue driving the economy forward. So, yeah. So if that continues, I just wanted to bring that up because it is concerning. Very concerning right now. So what I tell clients is like, listen, we don't know, we don't have the luxury of being able to predict if it's going to really fall off another cliff or if it's going to, is there something going to help it recover? And restore some of that confidence? It's hard. It seems like it's tilting towards the negative side to me, Ryan, but either way, that's why we position clients to be balanced in their financial plans, right? And part of that is holding that. One of the reasons why I'm going to ask you to comment on this, one of the reasons why I feel like it's kind of tilting the negative direction is when you add in things like FedNow, digital, and those kind of things. So speak to that for a second. You and I are going to do an episode just on FedNow here in a couple of weeks, I think. But like that all adds into undermining the confidence of the American consumer and driving that American consumer towards more privacy, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, FedNow, I tell you what, and that you were talking about the central bank digital currency. China has their own version, and you have your own social score and a social credit. Essentially, with FedNow is every transaction that is going to be occurring, and this is being launched here in a few short weeks. Just spoiler alert. It's get every financial transaction that you personally make is going to be reported into the Fed. So the Fed's going to know exactly what you're buying, what you're selling, what all of your business, whether that's going to get to a surveillance type thing like China, who knows? But as far as to comment about the privacy mentality of it, Carrie, is, I mean, we're Americans, right? We like to, privacy is a huge thing to us. And that really speaks to the fact of all recessions aside, regardless if one's going to happen or not this year, next year, it's going to happen at some point. That's just a point we wanted to talk about today. But as far as physical gold and silver is concerned, having something private, you can tangibly hold on to it. I tell you what, right now is a very important time to be looking into that.
Yeah, it's one of the pillars of why to own it and why it's such a organic market of supply and demand and what people want. So, yeah, so we just wanted to touch base real quick, everybody, and kind of bring this up to you guys and really, make you aware of, if you're not, kind of a couple of the different things that are coming together as we head into the rest of 2023, because clients are hungrier. They're as hungry as ever, wouldn't you say, Ryan, for solutions, and they need advisors to bring this up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not bringing this up to your clients in this marketplace, when are you? But as far as advisors out there, I mean, this is on a tee for you, ready to hit a home run, especially for contacting new prospects and new clients. That clients are searching for this answer and a resource right now. Use these topics. Use gold and silver as a great recruiting tactic for new clients, because the stage is set perfectly. That's right. For you.
And go back and watch the episode on Why Pre-33. Go back and watch the episode of, okay, so now I've watched the training. Now what do I do? All that's in the training. Okay. Use it. We can't do that for you. But we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode.